Crypto is for everyone, not just rocket scientists, venture capitalists, and high IQ developers. Welcome to The Agenda, a Cointelegraph podcast that explores the promises of crypto, blockchain, and Web3, and how regular-ass people level up with technology.
Welcome everybody to The Agenda. My name is Jonathan DeYoung. I'm the senior copy editor at Cointelegraph, and I'm joined by my co-host.
I'm Ray Salmond, head of markets at Cointelegraph. So, Jonathan, what's the actual agenda of The Agenda?
You know, Ray, that's actually a very good question. But I think before we dive too deep, we should talk a little bit about why we got into the cryptocurrency space in the first place. I joined Cointelegraph in March 2020. For those of you in the space, you know that's a very interesting time to join. But I have to be honest, before I started here, I knew essentially nothing about cryptocurrency. I just knew it sounded kind of sci-fi, underground, cool, and anti-authoritarian, all of which are things that I often found myself attracted to. And as I learned more about the space, I was surprised to find just how wide crypto's arms actually reached, and how many of my professional and personal interests intersected with it. And I've also been a musician all my life. I made the music for the show. Go check me out. And the promise of blockchain and NFTs to improve the lives of independent artists and content creators is one that I find myself especially attracted to. But inevitably, my crypto honeymoon phase started to come to an end, and the reality and complexity of the way the world actually works started to settle in. You know, crypto promises to revolutionize the world, but cannot actually do it. And should we actually trust those building the future of finance? Will the revolution that it brings truly free us, or will it just replicate the same structures of inequality that already exist? So that's me. What about you, Ray? How did you first get into crypto?
I started my crypto journey in 2017 by just trading Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Litecoin. Essentially, I was capitalizing on the price spreads between exchanges and playing around with a simple range-bound price action between each of these assets. At the same time, the ideology of decentralization, transparency in finance, access to trading instruments typically reserved for accredited and institutional investors, and the concept of uncensorable money were really attractive to me. And like many, the promises of revolutionary change that these projects marketed were also pretty attractive. Part of the process as an investor, as someone learning a little bit more about cryptocurrency and the ideology behind it, also included separating the signal from the noise, the truth from the lies, the fundamentals from the Ponzi schemes. I think that's been a key part of surviving in the crypto space. And while I've enjoyed trading for the last 5 years, one thing I've not enjoyed is the sometimes delayed delivery on a lot of these Web3 and financial revolution promises. In addition to that, Jonathan and I also work in media, so we're literally bombarded with press releases and non-stop shilling, and in my experience, most of these projects actually never deliver. So I personally wanted to be involved in a dialogue where people who are already using blockchain technology and crypto can talk about their aspirations, their wins, their losses, their achievements, just their journey.
That dynamic, Ray, that you've been talking about between the promises and realities of the crypto world is essentially at the core of what we want to explore with this podcast. So the promises and ideals of crypto still sound great, don't get me wrong. But I do have to agree with you, Ray, that so much of the space is full of empty hype, scams, rug pulls, these fallen heroes, and of course the annoying crypto fanatics who scream in your ear at the bar about how great their favorite coin is. And so Ray and I, we have these sorts of conversations and debates all the time. And we really like to challenge each other on how we can move forward together as a society to achieve a brighter future, and what role, if any, crypto can really play in that. And I would talk to Ray all the time. I tell him, let's start a podcast. And I'm aware that's a very 21st century conversation to have. So what The Agenda means to me, it's a platform for Ray and I to ask these challenging questions with listeners to really dig into how the promises stack up against reality and to find and talk to the folks who are actually building things and doing things that have a real potential to help people, everyday people.
We're just so happy that we're finally able to bring this show to you. Like mainstream media, crypto news has a tendency to incessantly bombard its audience with bad news, and that kind of impacts how crypto natives and newcomers perceive the entire sector. So, part of what the agenda aspires to do is put a spotlight on the positive developments that are happening in crypto, specifically on the people who are actually building the infrastructure and benefiting from the real-world use cases that are offered by NFTs, blockchain, and cryptocurrency. The agenda is hosted and produced by me, Ray Salmond.
And by me, Jonathan DeYoung. You can listen and subscribe to the agenda at cointelegraph.com/podcasts or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else podcasts are found.
If you enjoyed what you heard, rate us and leave a review. You can find me on Twitter at Horace Hughes, HORUSHUGHES.
And I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and just about everywhere else at MadDopeMadic. That's MADDOPEMADIC.
Be sure to follow Cointelegraph on Twitter and Instagram at Cointelegraph.